on to another stressful topic, which has been LSU's hitting struggles. And if you look at Zach, why don't you take it away? Because I know you tweeted out something. Well, who's blaming Jay Johnson for the? Who is blaming Jay Johnson for putting out Zach Cohen, who, by the way, is your best reliever out of the?
Yeah,
you'd rather blame that than just the abysmal hitting all weekend. You can take it away, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to hand the ball to your best reliever to get 4 outs and a 2-run advantage to work with? I would do that. I don't know why we're faulting Jay Johnson for that instead of looking at his offense scoring 7 runs across 3 games. And this A&M pitching staff, they're not that great. And that's the concerning part. I can understand Tennessee kind of holding you down for a couple of nights because Tennessee's got a really good rotation. I can understand being in a 2-0 game against Oklahoma because Kyson Witherspoon's going to be a first-round pick. But I can't really wrap my head around a mid-tier at best A&M pitching staff just giving you fits. They have not really been hitting lefties that great all this season. People want to ride on Bear Jones for being a quote-unquote midweek merchant. Well, I think it's kind of unfair considering he was your only run in the first doubleheader game. Grant, can you look up the numbers? What is Stephen Milam hitting in SEC play this year? It's
terrible.
It's pretty bad.
He's had a disappointing year so far for LSU. I mean, he's so far as in the overall season, he is batting .286, which isn't bad, but Stephen Milam was batting like .330 last year for LSU, if I remember correctly. And in SEC play, .205, but he was in the 190. He was in the 190s going into the weekend.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that. Okay, 205.
It's bad.
Yeah. Okay. At least he's still he's a plus defender, so you're not losing anything. At least he's making up with a very good glove. But yeah, Milan's been slumping. Well, it's not slumping, but it's been bad all SEC play. I'm of two minds. Jay's really been tinkering with the lineup these past couple of games, which on the one hand I get because you're trying to find something that works, but on the other hand, brother, it's May. Like, we're past this point of tinkering and experimenting. Like, you need to have the 9 that you're going with and saying, this is come hell or high water, this is who I'm going with. And like, one day Derek Curriell's leading off, and then I believe in the Sunday game he's batting cleanup for some reason. And there's still kind of that rotating door of Josh Pearson and Ethan Fry and Jake Brown as your DH, and they still can't really settle on that. Jared Jones, one day he's batting leadoff, then he's batting in the 2-hole. They keep kind of flip-flopping him. So he's trying everything to make it work. And I guess I appreciate the effort, but it seems like he's kind of out of answers. And I'm also kind of wondering, when I think of Jay Johnson teams, I think of mashers and just home run threats. This team doesn't have it.
No,
you've got Jones with, I think, 16 home runs, 17 home runs, whatever it is, but no one else has 10. And I wonder if they're just playing a different style that's counter to what Johnson preaches. And I don't know if they have the right. I don't know if it's the talent doesn't mesh with what Johnson believes in, or if he just doesn't have the right pieces. But Adam Henderson had said this on Twitter, and I borrowed it in my Sunday recap. This LSU team, objectively speaking, they're very good. Obviously, they're still a top 10 team. Mm-hmm. I believe they're number 8 in RPI. They're 3rd place in the SEC. By all the objectives, this is a good team.
Yes.
Not sure it's a great team, though. Not super confident that were they not to get a top 8 seed and be a national host, I'm not so sure that they can go win 2 games on the road in a super regional. I think the bats are too unpredictable. I could, of course, count. I'd go to war with Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson any weekend out of the year. And I like what I've been seeing out of Case and Evans. I like what I've been seeing out of Zach Cohen, Sunday notwithstanding. But that's only 4 pitchers, and I'm not sure 4 reliable pitchers in an unpredictable offense is good enough to get you to Omaha.
Look, I think the pitching staff's fine. I do. I think the starting rotation has been awesome. They're the reason why you're in it. And also the bullpen, for the most part, has been fun. You have a lot of younger players in the bullpen, but so far, the bullpen's been okay, right? The bullpen's good enough for you to win the games you need to win.
Definitely good enough to win an A&M. Yeah, they should have won that.
If you look at the last 2 series, the pitching staff has been fine. A lot of the runs that Tennessee scored last week were late in the game. When Tennessee won 9-3 or whatever in game 2, most of those runs came in the 8th inning, and that was after LSU struggled to hit the ball, right? And when you can't rely on your pitching staff, right, like that, right? You have to, but like even if you're not a home run hitting team, and I get that, like you want to see home runs, but they're just not. This is not that type of team. You have to hit the ball, right? There's no reason. Like I'm saying this right now, Chris Stanfield and Derek Curiel should be 1 and 2. Or you can go either or because they're the 2 best hitters right now the LSU has. If you look at SEC play, Chris Stanfield is batting 333, Derek Curiel is batting 313, right? If anything, Chris Stanfield should be hit up, should go off first. He's batting. His on base percentage is 400, which is the second most in SEC play. So let him go first. Have Derek Curiel come in and bat second, and then let's say Daniel Dixon bat third or something like that, and then figure out the rest. Right? Like I mean, Luis Hernandez, who's a catcher, is your 4th best hitter right now. Usually catchers. I'm glad Luis Hernandez is batting well, but I mean, really, if you look at the rest of the lineup, Chris Stanfield and Derek Curiel are the only 2 batters that are hitting above 300 right now for LSU. And I actually saw this tweet from Hunt Palmer. Actually, let me bring this up. And Hunt Palmer. So this is what he said: getting things ready for Around the Horn tomorrow morning. This was he posted this last night. Of course, I think he was he's preparing for his radio show today. 6 Tigers started all 3 games this weekend. Jones, Curiel, Dixon, Milam, Braswell, and Stanfield. They combined to go 12 for 64 with 1 multi-hit game. And, of course, Jared Jones was the only one that got that multi-hit game for everyone calling him a midweek merchant. And 12 for 64 is a 188 batting average. It's terrible. That's terrible. Right? And, the guys we're talking about, Jones, Curiel, Dixon, Milam, Braswell, and Stanfield, those 6 are your most reliable hitters. Chris Stanfield, by far, has been your most reliable hitter. Stanfield and Curiel have been your 2 best hitters so far in SEC play. But Jones, Dickinson, and Milam, Braswell, those guys should be reliable as well, especially Stephen Milam. Right? I mean, you can't be, because Stephen Milam's had a big job, and I think that's a people want to talk about Jared Jones. But I think Jared Jones sometimes gets unfair criticism because he does strike out a lot because he's more of a slugger. And look, I'm not saying those criticism isn't valid, but no one is talking about Stephen Milam a lot from behind the plate. He has been absolutely disappointing so far. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous how bad he's been. I mean, and just the season as a whole, he is batting 286. And then you go into SEC play, we already mentioned he is 205. I mean, that is horrendous. Yeah. And I actually need to pull up his last year's stats, too, because
we're killing Jordan Thompson a couple years ago. And
yes,
somehow Milam's kind of – and I'm not trying to, call for Milam's head, but it's just weird how there's just no discussion. So I don't know. I'm also wondering – and then this might be harsh – Do we think that maybe Dickinson is kind of hitting a wall against SEC pitching because he did make a big leap from Utah Valley to LSU? That's a big jump. I mean, I don't know.
Not really. I mean, not really. I don't think so. I mean, look, what's his name? Derek Curiel was going against California high school pitching, and he's the leading batter right now, the second leading batter in SEC play, and the leading batter as a whole in terms of batting average. Right? I don't think that really matters so much of a jump, right? If you're a good baseball player, you're a good baseball player. It's just that for some, besides Derek Curiel and Chris Sanfield, everybody else is struggling. And actually, going off of last year's stats, Stephen Mullen batted 326, by the way.
For the whole year, I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah. He batted 326 last year. And, of course, most of his production came in SEC play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like he's had a massive drop-off, like an absolute massive drop-off. And really, if you put this in perspective, we'll bring that back up again. Jared Jones batted 301 last year. He's actually improved hitting-wise. I mean, if you think about it, a season as a whole, Jared Jones is batting 349 in the regular season. And then, of course, his SEC play has gone down. You're going against SEC competition. But he's batting 252, which isn't bad for the type of player he is. I mean, he is second on the team in RBIs in SEC play with 19, only behind Derek Curiel, right? And Derek Curiel is more of a contact hitter than Jared Jones. So it makes sense why he's getting more runs, because he's a little bit of a better hitter than Jared Jones. But, I feel like, yes, it's a valid criticism around Jared Jones. Yes, but you got to blame the whole team at some point. You got to blame people are so afraid to blame Stephen. And I'm not trashing Stephen Mullen. I still think Stephen Mullen's a great player. But and look, it's the same way I treated Jordan Thompson. Jordan Thompson was a very good contact hitter. A lot of people forget that that his last year at LSU, he actually had a great year. And before that collapse in the College World Series, or even the postseason in general, he was going to get drafted much higher than he was supposed to. And then he had of course, he had a bad postseason, including that game 2 of the College World Series. But for the most part, the whole year, he was one of your more clutch hitters throughout the year, and was making plays in the infield.
Yeah.
I mean, his really only bad game in terms of fielding was that game 2. And people forgot about that, because people want him to live up to the legacies of Alex Bregman and Tim Mulkey's son. But Kramer Robinson, I know people and that's still the joke around here. Kramer Robinson, son of Kim Mulkey, although he was an all SEC shortstop. But I just felt like there was a lot of unfair expectations that were laid onto Jordan Thompson. And although some of the criticism of Jordan Thompson was valid, he did lose you a lot of games in the 2022. But 2023, he improved greatly in the field, in fielding, and then also hitting behind the plate. He had the 3-run triple, a 3-run double against Tennessee that won you game 1 and eventually helped you win the whole series in general. I mean, that was a big-time hit. But for some reason, we're afraid to criticize Stephen Mullen because we like him. It's okay to criticize the players you like.
Yeah.
I criticized Gary Nesbitt, and I liked him. I criticized Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow and Jay Daniels, even though I liked them. It's okay to criticize the players that they like, because if they're not playing good, it's okay to criticize them. That's really my whole point, right? You gotta stop laying off. You gotta lay off of Jared Jones, because it's the whole team at this point, outside of maybe 2 batters that are really struggling as SEC play. And you shouldn't rely on Kate Anderson, Anthony Irons, and the pitching staff in general to bail you out for your struggles. You have to find it because, and especially this weekend. If you're LSU, you want to win 4 of your next 6 games to basically secure a super regional spot. I think if you win 4 of your 4 of those final 6 games, you secure a super regional spot. Because right now, I think LSU is sitting around 15
SEC wins. 19 should be more than enough, or maybe not more than enough, but 19 should be enough. But
right, and their RPI is really high too, right? Yeah. And then of course you get that SEC tournament, so you don't know how LSU is going to perform in the SEC tournament. A lot of people remember last year we didn't know what to expect of LSU to go in this SEC tournament, but then they made it all the way to the championship game. So a lot of things can happen in the sport of baseball. But right now, if you can't hit, you're just not going to go where you want to go, and that's just simple as that. And people are saying, "Well, we should fire Jay." No, calm down. Actually, look, this is the tweet I wanted to share with you guys. Hold on, let me pull this up. Because I quote tweeted this, and you also quote tweeted this too as well, Zach. But here you go. This wasn't. My favorite thing about baseball season is LSU fans treating baseball like football because they lose one game. It is mind-boggling that some people blame Jay Johnson for putting his best reliever in a critical situation for the loss. This is from Caden Naps. Of course, Caden is one of the more prominent members of LSU Twitter, and I actually met him before he became a huge name among LSU Twitter. But this is what he tweeted. Since we're on the topic, the timeline is blaming Jay Johnson for putting the team in a position to be up two with 2 outs in the 8th with Zach Cohen on the hill. He only pitched 60 games. It was a game 1 where he pitched, or it was a game 2.
Game 1, he pitched
that's what I thought. I remember. Yeah, it was game 1. Yeah, because but he's been your best reliever all year. He leads the team in saves. Why wouldn't you put him out there? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You can't rely on the pitching staff to win you every game. Eventually, you have to swing the bat. You have to hit the ball. That's it. And that's something that LSU needs to do moving forward. You got Arkansas coming up. By the way, Arkansas has won 11 of his last 14 games against LSU. That is the one team that LSU's really struggled against in recent memory.
And they're coming off the sweep of Texas, so they're riding high. They've got a lot of momentum. The only thing, I don't want to say the only thing, but LSU thankfully has this series at home, and for whatever reason, home field advantage seems to really matter this year in SEC baseball. So maybe that's LSU's saving grace, but they're going to really have to earn it this weekend if they take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, of course, Zach, of course, and it's just. This is a must. I'm not saying you necessarily have to win the series, but you have to win 4 of your next 6 games, whether you win the series against Arkansas or you sweep Arkansas or vice versa, with South Carolina. South Carolina's looking really bad, by the way. But then again, I also said, I think I said this on the reaction video about South Carolina. Yes, they're playing bad baseball, but I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina decided to play their best version of baseball, because remember, Paul Maneri is their head coach, and he was the head coach of LSU, so maybe they're more motivated, especially with the LSU team coming in, to win the series, because you just don't know in the sport of college baseball. And really, also, Zach, and I also want to mention this too, before we move on to the next topic, which is it's almost the same exact scenario as last year. Because remember, Texas A&M was the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
And LSU was in the dumps. Look, we probably have no shot to win the series, but if we're going to win anybody this season, it's going to be A&M, just because it's A&M. Eventually, somewhere down the line, A&M's going to blow it right there. That's the history of Texas A&M. And that's what they did. LSU won 2 games out of 3, and that was the catapult for them in their late season success. Of course, they went to the championship final in the conference play, and then they got to North Carolina and really probably should have won the regional, but fell just short. But before that, we weren't even sure if LSU was even going to make postseason play, right? And it's almost vice versa. Come this season, literally the same exact time. LSU's number 2 team in the country. They're riding high. They're coming off a huge series win over Tennessee. Meanwhile, Texas A&M has no idea if they're going to make the tournament or not. So they have to win games. They have to win the ones that they need to. They need to win the games that they need to win to even think about postseason play. And that's what they did. It was a trap. It was a true trap series. And I made a video about it. It's like, this is the perfect trap series for LSU, because you're coming off a huge series win. You're going on the road to College Station. Blue Bell Park, one of the toughest places to play on the road, and even though A&M's is having an up and down season, there's still a lot of talent left from that team from last year, even if they're struggling on the pitcher side and also behind the plate. And LSU and Texas A&M probably play, and really also Texas A&M also beat. I think they beat Tennessee in the series earlier this year too. So they're still a good team despite the struggles. And LSU laid a complete egg. You should have won that game. You had the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, and you blew it.